In popular scientific literature today, it is well known that Earth has experienced 5 major mass extinctions. Each extinction event wiped out more than 70% of species, with the most catastrophic being the third extinction, where over 90% of life forms were lost. One of the most notable extinct species from this event was the dinosaurs. Although the exact cause of their extinction remains inconclusive, experts estimate that the collision of an asteroid with Earth was one of the most significant contributing factors. However, in addition to these external factors, there are also internal factors that could have contributed to the extinction of species. The decline of certain biological sectors during different periods could lead to species destroying each other, fighting internally, and facing difficulties in reproduction. While these internal factors are often overlooked, they too could have played a role in the extinction of some species. Yet, the extinction caused by these internal factors is much harder to research and identify. From an archaeological perspective, although each mass extinction event seemingly wiped out all species, there have always been a few that managed to survive. Moreover, there are species that have survived not just one, but several extinction events. Whether facing rising temperatures, freezing cold, or asteroid impacts on Earth, they did not perish. Could it be that these creatures are the oldest inhabitants of this planet, witnessing not just one, but multiple Earth catastrophes and then rebirth? The most astonishing discovery recently is that scientists have found a single species still alive today, possessing traits that humans have long dreamed of and sought after. Today, we will explore the concept of living fossils, with the platypus being one of the most fascinating examples. The platypus is one of the most unique mammals. Although classified as a mammal, it lays eggs. Today, there is only one known species of platypus, with no close relatives remaining in the world. This living fossil continues to survive to this day. The oldest platypus fossils were found in the Cretaceous strata of Australia, indicating that these creatures coexisted with dinosaurs in the same era. Scientists speculate that platypuses may have existed as far back as 200 million years ago. Today, the platypus is classified as an extremely endangered species, facing a high risk of extinction in the wild. This unique animal was only discovered in the 18th century, and when British biologists first saw the specimen, they thought it was a hoax. They could hardly believe their eyes when confronted with such an unusual creature. Upon further investigation, they confirmed that it was indeed a real animal. The average lifespan of a platypus in the wild is about 10 to 15 years, while those in captivity can live up to 17 years. Platypuses primarily live in water, feeding on small fish or shellfish. When foraging underwater, they do not rely on sight, hearing, or smell. Instead, they use their ability to detect electrical signals from objects in the water. They can remain submerged for up to 40 seconds. The platypus does not rely on tactile senses like other animals, but instead uses its ability to detect electrical signals, much like dolphins. Among mammals, the platypus and dolphins are the only animals with this ability. The platypus is also one of the few mammals that possess venom. Its hind legs have venomous spurs, and during its developmental stage, the venom is extremely potent. If a dog or cat is stung, it can become paralyzed, and while a human might not die from it, the pain can last for months. To date, in addition to the platypus, other venomous mammals include the European mole and the striped skunk. Despite their appearance, which may resemble rats, these creatures are not related to rats at all, as they belong to entirely different species. You may notice that their eyes are very small and, in fact, they are blind, relying primarily on their sense of smell to find food. Their jaws are quite large, and their typical body length is around 30 centimeters. Their saliva contains neurotoxins that can paralyze their prey. These animals are currently found only on Roatan Island, in the Caribbean Sea. Although considered an endangered species, on this island, the platypus reigns supreme with no natural enemies, and as a result, it has never learned to defend itself. When humans arrived on the island and brought along cats, these cats quickly became natural predators of the platypus. However, since the platypus had never faced a threat, it does not know how to protect itself. If someone attempts to catch it, the platypus will not flee, but will stand still and wait. It only bites when it wants to attack or catch prey. When defending itself, it does not bite because it has never considered that someone would attack it. This situation reflects a potential extinction method for species without natural predators. Have you ever thought that humans might be in a similar position? We often believe we are the rulers of Earth, that only humans hunt and kill other species, and that no species is our natural enemy. But do humans truly have no natural predators? And if we do, what forces would they be? Feel free to share your thoughts and join the discussion. As for the striped skunk, it is a mammal primarily found in North America, known for its very distinctive, foul odor. The scent of the skunk not only makes it unbeatable in the animal kingdom, but it also contains neurotoxins that can paralyze its opponent's nervous system, causing temporary blindness or sensory loss. Now let's move on to another living fossil, the Tuatara lizard. This is an ancient species of lizard that can only be found in New Zealand today. Although it is called a lizard, it is not related to any other lizard species on Earth, as it is a unique and extremely ancient species. Whether it's the bones or the internal organs, everything in this lizard has preserved its ancient state without evolving. This lizard exhibits clear sexual dimorphism. Sexual dimorphism is a phenomenon where individuals of a species can be distinguished by their sex without needing to examine reproductive organs, much like male and female chickens, or males and females in humans. In species with sexual dimorphism, the males are typically larger than the females, as seen in lions. Although the male and female of this species of lizard are not identical, they share many similar traits, such as their overall body structure. The male can grow up to 60 centimeters in length, while the largest female is less than half that size. Experts speculate that this species of lizard first appeared at least 220 million years ago, meaning it could have coexisted with the ancestors of the dinosaurs. While dinosaurs became extinct, this lizard has survived, and over the course of 220 million years, it has undergone no significant changes, retaining its original state. One remarkable feature of this lizard is that its eyes can function independently, much like the eyes of a chameleon. Each eye has two retinas, one for daytime use and the other for nighttime, allowing it to have excellent vision both during the day and at night. Another extraordinary characteristic is that this lizard possesses a third eye, referred to in scientific studies as the third eye. This concept of a third eye is often mentioned, and it is believed that some animals, as well as humans, may possess this ability. In science, it is known as the pineal gland. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, don't forget to leave a comment, hit the like button, share with your friends, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any upcoming videos. Thank you so much. The third eye of this lizard, although it has been documented, remains functional, unlike the third eye in other species. Its eyes possess light-sensitive retinas, and remarkably, this eye is connected by nerve pathways directly to the brain to transmit information. Although scientists still don't fully understand what the third eye is used to perceive, it is clear that this eye has not degenerated and is a fully functional eye. Just think about it. Why did ancient species need a third eye? Could it be related to a special way of perceiving the world? Regarding the lizard species in New Zealand, historical records suggest their existence dates back to the 18th century. In 1769, Captain James Cook, the famous British explorer, was the first to visit New Zealand. Upon arriving on the island, he encountered the Maori people, the indigenous inhabitants, who shared with him a legend about a giant lizard, measuring over 2.5 meters in length, that resembled a human but lived underground. Moreover, these lizards were said to attack and even eat humans. When the captain heard this, he found it quite intriguing and decided to stay on the island to search for them. However, after a long search, he was unable to find them and eventually dismissed the matter. Around 80 years later, a famous German zoologist heard about the story and immediately offered a reward to find the giant lizard on the island. Despite many searches, they still couldn't find it. Eventually, they only discovered the Tuatara lizard. After bringing it back for study, researchers found that it was actually unrelated to any known lizard species. However, it had one striking similarity to humans. It reached adulthood at around 15 to 20 years old and could live between 60 to 100 years, much like the human life cycle. Next, let's talk about another living fossil, the Coelacanth, also known as the living fossil fish. This species was discovered by a museum staff member at the South African Museum named Marjorie Courtney Latimer. This fish was believed to have been extinct for tens of millions of years. In 1938, fishermen in South Africa, while fishing in the Indian Ocean, caught a very special fish. However, at the time, no one knew what species it was. A person named Marjorie Courtney Latimer, who was collecting specimens for the museum, discovered this fish at a local market. Latimer was well versed in fish species, but she had never seen a fish like this before. She believed that this was certainly a new species or something very special. She immediately called others to collect the specimen and then contacted experts in England. Due to the lack of internet and convenient transportation, the experts from England did not arrive in South Africa until a year later. When they saw the specimen of the fish, they were astonished and exclaimed that this was certainly a specimen from over 200 million years ago, as the fish resembled those from ancient times. In fact, this fish could have lived as far back as 360 million years ago, and it has not changed since then. For example, it has 8 fins, a feature that is no longer common among fish today. This fish is enormous, with a body length that can reach several meters and weigh over 100 kilograms, with the largest specimens being bigger than humans. Its bones are very soft, but the outer shell is extremely hard, resembling an armor. Among the giant prehistoric creatures, there is a species called Trang, also known as the armored giant. This species has a very hard exterior, but a soft interior, much like a suit of armor protecting its body. Its head is also quite large, similar to ancient fish species, giving it a very distinct appearance. These ancient creatures were not meant to be food for humans, like many fish species today. In fact, there is something quite unusual about them. All the strange sea creatures that have been introduced to the public have been tasted. Japanese zoologists have carried out what they call taste experiments on these strange creatures from the sea. And whenever such creatures are caught, they are immediately tested to understand their taste. After tasting it, they said that the flavor of this fish is like that of a dead body. This fish typically lives in the deep sea, but it has one unique characteristic compared to most deep-sea fish. Its buoyancy is excellent. Although it lives in the deep sea, where light is almost non-existent, its eyes are remarkably sharp, allowing it to see clearly, unlike most other deep-sea fish, whose eyes have become degenerated over time. Moreover, this fish also has an unusual trait compared to modern fish. It can swim by rotating its body, sometimes swimming upside down, appearing as if it were dead, but at other times swimming normally. Unlike regular fish, which must swim with their bellies facing down, this fish can swim in various orientations. This ancient fish has no natural predators, possibly because its flesh is tough and difficult to consume, combined with its tough outer armor. As a result, even sharks avoid eating it. These fish have an exceptionally long lifespan, living at least 100 years, and ancient people also observed that ancient creatures generally had much longer lifespans than species today. In the Bible, isn't it also recorded that ancient humans lived for thousands of years? Or in ancient Eastern texts, such as the classic of Mountains and Seas, Sun Hai Kin, this subject is also mentioned. If you're interested, you can research further. Now, let's talk about a very special fossil, the three-lobed beetle. This creature does not resemble any other living species on Earth today, but it closely resembles the ancient three-lobed beetle, particularly its larvae, which are identical to the larvae of the ancient species. The ancient three-lobed beetle went extinct a long time ago, but this modern version has survived. This beetle has a thick armor and a terrifying appearance, but it poses no threat to humans. In ancient times, people ate its meat, and there are records stating that its meat was very delicious. This species primarily feeds on small fish and shrimp. Interestingly, it is a sexually dimorphic species, meaning the males are very large, while the females are quite small. It is now known that this species has existed on Earth for about 450 million years. The shape of this three-lobed beetle is also quite remarkable, resembling a fossil that we have just uncovered. Moreover, 450 million years ago was when the first mass extinction event occurred. If this beetle species existed before that first extinction, it means it has survived through all major extinction events and still remains. The cause of the first mass extinction event is still unclear today, but it is believed to have been caused by the Ice Age, which lasted over 100,000 years. So what does it eat to survive? We still don't know exactly what this three-lobed beetle feeds on to sustain itself. However, it is unfortunate that it could not survive through the sixth mass extinction event. Now, it is on the brink of extinction, with the primary cause being human persecution. Is it because its meat is delicious? The answer is no. Here, we need to mention a very unique feature of this species. Its blood is blue. While the blood of most living creatures on Earth is red, the blood of this beetle is blue, a very distinctive trait. Iron, the main component in blood, gives our blood its red color. However, in the blood of this three-lobed beetle, there is no iron. Instead, it contains copper ions. In fact, the blood of this beetle is transparent inside the body, but when exposed to oxygen, it immediately turns blue due to oxidation. When humans consume this beetle, they may not notice the special properties of its blood. However, it has now been discovered that the beetle's blood possesses incredibly powerful properties. Research shows that the three-lobed beetle does not have an immune system, yet it has been able to survive for many years on a planet filled with bacteria. This baffled scientists until they discovered that its blood is incredibly unique. The blood has the ability to halt the growth of bacteria, neutralize viruses, and block toxins. Anything harmful to its body is held in check by its blood. This ensures that the beetle is never attacked by external threats that could lead to its death. However, it can still be eaten by other predators, but viruses or toxins cannot kill it, as once the virus attacks, it is immediately trapped and cannot multiply. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, don't forget to leave a comment, hit the like button, share with your friends, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any upcoming videos. Thank you so much. The universal vaccine that prevents the three-lobed beetle from getting sick is due to its blood. This blood is something humans have long desired. Moreover, it has been discovered that the beetle's blood can also be used to detect cancerous tumors, making it highly valuable. As a result, humans began hunting and killing large numbers of these beetles to extract their blood. Initially, the population of these beetles was plentiful, so extracting their blood didn't seem to cause much harm. However, later, when their numbers dwindled, it became apparent that such uncontrolled extraction couldn't continue. While the beetles could survive with just 30% of their blood, after 20 years, their population decreased drastically. Researchers then found that while the beetles could survive with 30% of their blood, they could no longer reproduce. Consequently, the beetle population is now critically low. 1 liter of its blood can sell for up to $15,000, around 350 million Vietnamese dong, which is why it is often called liquid gold. However, for the average person, purchasing its blood is of no real use. Recent research is aiming to use this blood to develop an AIDS treatment, as it can inhibit viruses. Additionally, the three-lobed beetle has an interesting characteristic. They follow a monogamous system. Once a pair forms, they stay together for life, always traveling and reproducing together, never separating, no matter where they go. When their blood is extracted, both beetles are affected, as when one is caught, both are caught together. Finally, let's talk about the oldest and most widespread living fossil on Earth, Cyanobacteria. Cyanobacteria are an extremely ancient type of bacteria, closely related to another very ancient bacterium called Y0-like. The habitat of Cyanobacteria is vast, and they can be found anywhere there is water, including rivers, lakes, oceans, and even hot springs. These bacteria have an extraordinary ability to withstand very high temperatures. Cyanobacteria are prokaryotic, single-celled organisms that are too small to be seen with the naked eye, but we have seen them. Do you remember seeing images of bodies of water with a greenish film on the surface? That's Cyanobacteria. Currently, scientists have discovered cyanobacteria in fossils dating back 2.2 billion years, indicating that they have existed on Earth for at least 2.2 billion years. Moreover, researchers believe that cyanobacteria could very well have been the first life forms to appear on our planet. Earth has the ability to perform photosynthesis and produce oxygen, and it is this process of photosynthesis that has made life as we know it possible. Without it, our Earth as we know it might not exist, and there would likely be no complex organisms like humans. Photosynthesis is carried out by the majority of plant species, so it is a common and widely observed phenomenon. Photosynthesis occurs in organisms that contain chloroplasts, which house chlorophyll. Chlorophyll has the ability to convert light, CO2, and water into glucose, oxygen, and water. Photosynthesis is a remarkable process that transforms inorganic substances into organic compounds, converting light energy into biological energy. In theory, if humans could photosynthesize, we wouldn't need to eat. We could simply bask in the sun whenever we're hungry and be satisfied. This is why many large organizations are currently researching artificial photosynthesis. Through artificial photosynthesis, it may be possible to produce alternatives to petroleum, and recent studies have made significant advancements in this area. The significance of light for humans and plants is entirely different. For us, light is something we perceive as brightness, color, and warmth. However, for plants, light is not simply perceived in this way. They see light as packets of energy, or photons, and the chloroplasts in plant cells capture these photons and convert them into energy. This process of transformation is governed by quantum mechanics, and to this day, there are still mysteries that science has yet to fully explain. For example, the principle behind photosynthesis is still not fully understood, and the process of converting light energy into biological energy remains a wonder. In addition, the majority of oxygen on Earth today is not produced by plants, but by cyanobacteria, blue-green algae. Therefore, if the number of plants decreases slightly, it will not have a direct impact on the composition of Earth's atmosphere. However, if cyanobacteria were to disappear, it would result in very serious consequences for both humans and all living organisms on Earth. Today we have discussed some very typical living fossils. While they may sound rare, in reality, they are not that uncommon. Living fossils in plants are especially abundant, and a classic example that everyone is familiar with is the Ginkgo tree. The Ginkgo tree is a living fossil, with its fossils appearing as far back as 270 million years ago. The Ginkgo tree today looks exactly the same as it did 270 million years ago, having undergone no change over all that time. There are many such plants and animals which have remained unchanged for millions of years, showing an incredible stability. Perhaps the dense forests that dinosaurs once saw were not much different from the ones we see today. This could mean that Earth's environment was designed long ago, and after each mass extinction, it was simply reformatted a bit. These living fossils might be the creatures that survived from the very first days when Earth was formed. Do you think that when Earth was first created, a gigantic ecosystem was set up with species specifically designed for humans, for some special reason? And what might that special reason be? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And now, we will wrap up for today. If you found this video useful, don't forget to share it with your friends. Thank you very much and goodbye until next time.